So after working with a roofing company where we took their booking rate from 5 to 10% to all the way up to 25 and 30%, there is a follow-up sequence that will book appointments on autopilot. And first off, hey, I'm Carl Stoy, the founder of Stoy Media, and long story short, we work with roofing companies like that, and we send them leads on a pay-per-lead basis. And so let's talk about the follow-up sequence that worked for them in order to increase their booking rate almost tenfold. Well, I think it's like 3 times, but anyways, it works because you have to be persistent. Look, you may say, oh, we're persistent. We follow up 1 time a day for 5 days. No. Because you are not going to book appointments, because the truth is, people are not entitled to get on the phone with you. So if you are not trying to constantly get on the phone with them, constantly texting them, you are not going to get good leads. You're going to say, oh, they're bad leads. You're not going to get consistent stuff on the back end if you are not consistently following up. So here's the sequence on how to get these appointments booked. First off, there's 2 different sequences you need. You need your SMS and you need your calling sequence. Now, your calling sequence, way more important than your SMS, but you need both of them. Now, because if you get on the phone with someone, that's way more valuable than getting a text back, right? Because on the phone, you can ask more questions. You can be more lengthy in your conversation. A 10-minute phone conversation is like a 2-hour SMS conversation if that person is sitting there texting you back. But most people nowadays, and the reason why you need to be so persistent is because people have other things to do. They have kids. I mean, if you're working with the average homeowner, they have a 9 to 5, they have kids, they have work, they have family, they have kids' activities. They have so many other things to be doing than worrying about you, because they're not entitled to get on the phone with you. So you have to understand that you have to earn the time on their phone. You have to earn that. And you don't earn that by just begging for it and saying, you should answer my call. You submitted this. That's not how it works. Nobody owes you their time. So you have to earn it. You have to fight for it. And so there's a calling sequence and SMS sequence. Now, your SMS sequence, realistically, you need to be calling, or you need to be SMSing them or sending them a text message. Let's be a little bit more liberal here. You have to be sending them a text message at least 3 to 4 times in the first day. 3 to 4 times in the first day. You don't get answer rates by just following up once in the first day. Now, you have to be very clear on your state laws, especially on calling an SMS. There's a limit in some states to the amount of times you can call someone to set an appointment. So if you call somebody, I think it's more than 3 times or more than once every 8 hours in Florida, you're going to get a nice little TCPA demand letter. So that's not a good thing. So you need to make sure that you're very clear on the laws of your state. But in the state of Illinois, text them 3 to 4 times in the first day. First, instantly. That's why I said 4 times. Because if they come in, sometime at midnight or something like that, you got to send them a text. Now, like I said, be clear on the laws of your state. We never sent messages really outside of 9 to 8, which is the quiet zone in Illinois. If they come in at any time outside of that, you have to be very clear on your state laws. Anyways, 3 to 4 times in the first day. Instantly, 30 minutes later, an hour after that, and 2 hours after. So, instantly, we'll just put like a line. Then it was 30 minutes after that first message, then an hour after that 30-minute message, so technically an hour and a half, and then 2 hours. So this is kind of your cadence. So 2 hours after that 1 hour interval, if that kind of makes sense how you're going to structure that. Instantly, then 30 minutes, send a message, and then wait an hour, send a message, and then wait 2 hours and send a message. So this should be your cadence for your first day. Now for your second day, you have to be brutal. 3 times. You have to do it like this. You have to send 3 messages. 1 in the morning, 1 at noon, and 1 in the afternoon, like 6 p.m. And you have to structure all of your follow-ups around doing it in the times that they're most likely to be available. Look, you can't call someone or text someone at 10 a.m. They're probably working. If you have a call center or you have any sort of automations, don't set it up for 9 to 5. Don't set it up to all the hours where you can respond. Open up your call center to all of the hours that that state will allow you to call people. And don't only send messages through 9 to 5. Actually avoid sending messages in between 9 and 5. Yes, you can send one at lunch because then they're most likely to answer. But between 9 and 5, your answer rates are going to be significantly lower because they are working. So, like I said, 3 times in the second day. Third day, another 3 times. You want to send them a message 3 times. 3 different messages, not all saying the same thing. Hey, just following up on the last message I sent. Did you get a chance to look at that? What are you doing? Have something creative. Now, I can't tell you word for word what we said, but I can tell you that no matter what you say, if you follow up 3 times a day and have something short, concise, clear, with a call to action. So this is your structure actually for SMS. I figure I'll teach you, but I can't give you the exact script. I can't give you word for word what to say step by step because it's going to be different for your company. But I can tell you this. You want to be short and sweet. You want to say, obviously you want to say, hey, but you want to say their name. That's what you want to have in there. So their name, we'll put this in brackets. So you want to have their name in there. You want to make sure that in most cases you have your name in there, or whoever the setter is, you want to make sure that their name is in there, or your name. And you want to have a call to action. Now, sometimes there's creative ones. I've actually had a good SMS work where you simply send their name with a question mark. So the SMS might look like this. If your name is Amy, it'll just say, Amy, Amy with a question mark. That's it. And they're like, who just sent me this? And they get so curious, they look at it and they read all the past text messages and it's clear why you just texted them. So they respond and they end up booking an appointment with you. But for most of these, you got to have their name, your name, and a call to action. Hey, and I'll give you a little mock one as your introductory message. This is what you want to send as soon as a lead comes in. Hey, Amy, this is Carl from XYZ Roofing. I saw you just submitted a form, or I just got a message, or I just got a ping. You submitted a form looking for XYZ service. Would you be against me sending an estimator out sometime this week? There you go. Their name? Hey, Amy, this is Carl from XYZ Roofing. I got a message you were looking for a quote on your roof. Or I got a ping, I got a notification. You were looking for a quote on your roof. Would you be against me sending an estimator out sometime this week? So you're making a call to action. Do this. And most of the time, they respond. That's how you get a good response rate. But first day, 3 to 4 messages. Second day, 3 messages. Third day, 3 messages. Fourth day, you want to send 1 message. Honestly, you could be way more persistent than this, by the way. You could be way more persistent than this, especially if you're buying shared leads. Oh goodness, you have to be way more persistent. But 4th day, you want to message 2 times. On the 5th day, you want to message 2 times. And that's usually where your SMS follow-up will end. Because look, 80% of the people who ever book on your calendar are going to respond in the first day. If you send a message instantly, 80% of the people who book ever on your calendar from ads is going to be within the first day. Now, for your calling, this is where you gotta get creative because it depends on what your state will allow. You don't want to blow people up on SMS too much. And of course, you want to separate your numbers. You want to have an SMS number and a calling number because that way, if your calling number, when that gets burnt, when it starts getting marked as spam, your texting number isn't going to have that issue, which by the way, doesn't matter how persistent you are. If your number starts to show up as spam, you are basically just asking because truthfully, 5% of people will maybe answer a spam call. And maybe those 5% didn't even realize it was a spam call before they answered. And so they'll answer and instantly hang up because they now see that it's a spam call. So if you've ever had somebody pick up the phone, like a lead, pick up the phone and instantly hang up, it's a pretty high likelihood, a pretty good indicator that you're probably showing up as spam and nobody answers spam calls. So if you're marked as spam, you're just wasting your money. You're paying 2-3 times that you should be in marketing. So your cost of marketing is instantly 2 times higher. If you want to keep spending that money, fine. But if you want to actually have a lower cost of marketing, you need to change out your numbers. But this should be your calling schedule. Heavily depends on your state. If you're somewhere in Florida where you can only call 3 times a day, then it's going to look different for you. But for states where there isn't this regulation, you should look up your TCPA quiet times and call in intervals for your specific state. But what you should be doing, if you are in a state where this is allowed, call once every hour. Once every hour for 21 days. If you want to know, like if you're, for example, in roofing, and you want to know what the big companies do, I mean like the large companies that everyone says they're low quality, they're super expensive, but they still do $800, $900 million a year. They do this. They call once every hour for 21 days. Maybe not on the weekends. They probably don't do Saturday, Sunday, because there's also laws around that. But if you're in a state where it allows you, call them once every hour. Nobody owes you their time, and so you have to fight for their time. You have to fight for 10 minutes of their time because you are not entitled to it. And so if you are not consistently calling them over and over and over to get on the phone with them, you are just asking for a higher cost of marketing. And I promise you, people do not get tired of it because they didn't answer the phone the first time, so they have no idea who was calling them. If they answer the phone the 500th time you call them, they're not going to know that you called them 499 times earlier because they never answered the phone. They don't know who was calling. So it's not going to matter. But a different strategy, and for this specific company, where we increased their contact rate, we called 3 times in the first day. We called 3 times in the second day, 3 times in the fourth day or third day, 1 time in the fourth day, and 1 time in the 5th day. So this was actually the calling schedule we did for this specific company that I talked about at the start. But I can tell you, after having spoken with companies after this situation went down and we got their booking rate up, after this, I spoke to a company, big company, and they call once every hour for 21 days, and they have a significantly higher booking rate than most people. But you know what this allows them to do? It allows them to have a lower cost of marketing, because if they can pay less per job, let's say you're paying $1,000 per job, but they have a booking rate that is twice as high as yours, they're paying $500 per job. That means they now make more profit and they can put more money back into marketing. And you still sit there wondering, why is none of this marketing profitable? Why is it not working? Why is it not doing this and that? Yeah, it's probably because your metrics are bad. You could have a way higher booking rate. You just have to be persistent because you are not entitled to anybody's time. Just because they submitted a form does not mean they owe you to answer the phone or respond to a text. You need to fight for that. And so if you are not following up properly, you are not going to have a high booking rate. And if you do want more leads in the pipeline so that you can persistently call them like this, then click the link below, book a call, and we'd love to talk with you soon.